The moment Sarah Ferguson whispered the words Ibiza was the real beginning, the entire room reportedly froze. Not because people were shocked Meghan Markle had once visited Ibiza. Celebrities, royals, billionaires, they all passed through Ibiza. That part wasn't explosive. The terrifying part was what Sarah allegedly claimed happened there, and who Meghan was supposedly with before Prince Harry ever entered the picture. Because according to insiders now leaking fragments from private royal conversations, Sarah Ferguson didn't just describe a vacation. She described a hidden encounter connected to Prince Andrew's elite Mediterranean social circle. An encounter she allegedly said Prince Harry discovered years later, triggering one of the most emotional breakdowns of his entire life. And suddenly, people inside palace walls are looking back at every angry interview, every bitter family feud, every icy stare between Harry and William, and asking the same dangerous question: was Harry secretly unraveling long before the public ever realized it? For years, the royal family survived in silence. That was always the system. Never explain, never complain, bury the scandal, smile for the cameras, pretend the fire isn't spreading behind the curtains. But 2026 changed everything, because now the leaks aren't coming from tabloids. They're coming from people who actually sat at royal dining tables, people who watched the wars happen behind closed doors while the public was distracted by balcony waves and Christmas portraits. And Sarah Ferguson suddenly becoming the loudest voice in the room has terrified everybody, because Fergie knows too much. She lived inside that machine for decades. She saw who visited Royal Lodge. She saw who disappeared onto yachts. She saw which names made palace lawyers panic. And according to insiders, one specific conversation involving Ibiza allegedly left Prince Harry shattered beyond repair. The story reportedly started exploding after a private dinner at Royal Lodge earlier this year. What was supposed to be a tense but controlled family discussion allegedly turned into a nightmare after Sarah Ferguson began talking about old Mediterranean connections tied to Meghan's pre-royal years. At first, people thought she was rambling emotionally because pressure around Andrew had reached unbearable levels again. But then she allegedly mentioned Ibiza, and according to one palace insider, Harry's entire expression changed instantly. Not angry, not defensive, devastated, because insiders now claim Ibiza was not just another party destination in royal gossip circles. Ibiza allegedly represented a hidden chapter Prince Harry had spent years trying to ignore. A chapter involving exclusive villas, billionaire yacht gatherings, private Soho House-style introductions, and elite networking circles connected to Andrew's controversial social orbit during the early 2010s. For years, online rumors hinted Meghan may have crossed paths with some of those circles long before meeting Harry officially in 2016. Most people dismissed it as internet conspiracy nonsense, but Sarah Ferguson reportedly took it further than anyone expected. She allegedly suggested Meghan's Ibiza visit was known inside York family circles years before Harry publicly introduced her as his girlfriend. And that is where everything becomes emotionally explosive, because according to people close to the Sussex situation, Harry allegedly believed Meghan entered his life as an outsider untouched by the darkness of royal politics and aristocratic games. That belief became the emotional foundation of his rebellion against the monarchy. He protected her fiercely because he saw her as someone hunted by the same cruel machine that destroyed his mother. But what happens if Harry suddenly starts hearing whispers that Meghan may have already known parts of that world long before him? What happens if the fairy tale begins cracking from the inside? Sources now claim the alleged Ibiza revelation triggered memories Harry had buried for over a decade. Memories connected to Prince Andrew. Memories connected to ugly arguments inside palace corridors nobody was ever supposed to discuss publicly. So palace staff reportedly still remember tension between Harry and Andrew becoming unusually hostile around 2012 and 2013. At the time, the media dismissed it as personality clashes, but now people are revisiting those stories with fresh eyes because Sarah Ferguson's alleged comments suddenly make those old confrontations feel far more personal. One insider claimed Harry once exploded during a private royal gathering after overhearing Andrew's friends discussing Mediterranean introductions in front of younger royals. The argument allegedly became so intense security staff quietly intervened before other guests noticed. That story disappeared almost immediately, buried, erased, protected. But now, insiders believe the Ibiza discussion reopened wounds Harry never truly healed from. And then came the detail that reportedly broke him emotionally. Sarah Ferguson allegedly hinted that there were photographs, not public photographs, not blurry paparazzi pictures floating online, private images from Ibiza gatherings that were supposedly circulated quietly among elite circles years before Meghan became a duchess. And according to one source, Harry had already seen at least some of those images during a private confrontation confrontation inside Kensington Palace shortly before his wedding. Imagine that moment. Imagine preparing to marry the woman you believe saved your life emotionally, while palace figures quietly pass around rumors, files, and photographs questioning everything you think you know. Imagine the paranoia, the humiliation, the confusion. Suddenly, Harry's war with the institution begins looking very different. Maybe he wasn't only protecting Meghan from the monarchy. Maybe he was also protecting their shared reality from collapsing completely. And insiders claim William saw the entire situation differently from the beginning. According to royal sources, William allegedly warned Harry repeatedly that certain people connected to Meghan's social circles would eventually become a problem. At the time, Harry interpreted those warnings as snobbery, jealousy, or racism within the institution. But after Sarah Ferguson's Ibiza comments resurfaced, online speculation exploded that William's concerns may have involved hidden connections Harry refused to confront emotionally. Now the internet is dissecting everything, every awkward family appearance, every delayed wedding detail, every strange moment during the Sandringham crisis. People are suddenly asking whether palace officials already knew about the alleged Ibiza links years ago and desperately tried to contain the situation before it destroyed the monarchy publicly. And the timing makes the situation even darker, because Sarah Ferguson reportedly made these comments while pressure surrounding Prince Andrew is intensifying again behind closed doors. New discussions involving old associates, private travel logs, and hidden guest records have allegedly thrown the York family into complete panic mode. Sources claim Fergie feels abandoned by the institution after years of protecting Andrew publicly, while the palace slowly isolated them socially and financially. And now some insiders believe she has stopped caring about protecting anybody else, which means Meghan may no longer just be fighting internet rumors. She may be fighting someone who allegedly knows where the secrets are buried. And according to one source close to California circles, Harry's emotional state after hearing about the Ibiza discussion became deeply concerning. Friends allegedly noticed him withdrawing completely for days, avoiding calls, isolating himself inside Montecito, and becoming obsessed with tracking what information might leak next. Because if more details emerge publicly, the entire public narrative surrounding Harry and Meghan's relationship could face catastrophic damage. The terrifying part for the palace is that this scandal is no longer staying inside aristocratic gossip circles. It has escaped into the public bloodstream, mutating every single day with new whispers, new screenshots, new anonymous insiders, and new theories connecting dots the monarchy spent years trying to keep separated. Because once Sarah Ferguson allegedly connected Meghan's hidden Ibiza visit to Prince Andrew's old Mediterranean network, people online immediately began digging into timelines, travel patterns, Soho House guest lists, and old luxury event photographs that had been ignored for years. Suddenly, random images from 2013 and 2014 were going viral again. Old yacht photos, celebrity party footage, invitations to private Ibiza villas. Every tiny detail became evidence in the eyes of the internet. And according to insiders, Harry completely underestimated how quickly this story would spiral out of control. Because this wasn't just another royal scandal anymore. This one attacked the emotional core of Harry's entire public identity. For years, he positioned himself as the prince who escaped the corrupt machine to protect his wife from destruction. But now, critics are weaponizing Sarah Ferguson's alleged comments to push a completely different narrative that Meghan may have already understood elite power circles far more deeply than Harry realized. And if that perception sticks publicly, it changes everything. Suddenly, Harry no longer looks like the heroic protector. He looks like a man manipulated by forces he never fully understood. Think about the nightmare he is supposedly facing right now. If the public begins believing Meghan had deeper connections to Andrew's elite social world before their romance, then every major Sussex interview suddenly gets re-examined under a brutal new lens. The famous engagement interview, the claims about knowing little about the royal family, the image of Meghan as an outsider entering a hostile institution. Critics are already reframing the narrative completely, arguing that Meghan may have been navigating elite international circles long before Harry appeared in her life. And palace insiders reportedly believe William saw this storm coming years ago. For a long time, people assumed William's tension with Meghan came purely from personality clashes or royal hierarchy concerns. But now, dangerous whispers are spreading that William allegedly received private warnings regarding Meghan's old social connections before the wedding even happened. According to one source, William became deeply uncomfortable after hearing discussions involving Ibiza, Soho House contacts, and figures loosely connected to Andrew's controversial orbit. Whether those rumors were true or exaggerated almost no longer matters, because perception inside royal circles is everything. Once suspicion enters the bloodstream of the monarchy, trust dies quietly quietly behind palace walls. And that may explain why William and Harry's relationship deteriorated so violently, so quickly, and so permanently. The internet has become completely obsessed with decoding Meghan's past now. Amateur investigators are dissecting old-fashioned photos, analyzing jewelry, comparing timestamps, matching luxury resort backgrounds, and building entire conspiracy timelines connecting celebrities, aristocrats, billionaires, and royal-adjacent figures together. Some of it is absurd, some of it is manipulative, but some of it is becoming disturbingly persuasive to audiences already suspicious of the monarchy and celebrity culture. And every hour the palace refuses to address the rumors directly, the mystery grows darker. But perhaps the saddest part of this entire saga is Prince Harry himself, because insiders claim the emotional exhaustion surrounding these allegations is starting to visibly affect him. Friends reportedly describe a man trapped between two impossible realities. On one side is the woman he sacrificed everything for, his royal role, his country, his family relationships, his public reputation. On the other side is a growing avalanche of whispers suggesting there may still be parts of Meghan's past he never fully understood. That kind of psychological pressure destroys people slowly, quietly, internally. And according to palace sources, King Charles has been watching this unfold with increasing horror. Not because of sympathy for Meghan or anger towards Sarah Ferguson, but because the monarchy itself now appears trapped in an endless cycle of scandals that refuse to die. Diana's pain, Andrew's disgrace, Harry's rebellion, Meghan's controversies. Every generation of royal drama bleeding into the next one like an inherited curse the institution can no longer contain. Now, insiders claim emergency discussions are quietly happening about future damage control strategies if additional Ibiza-related material surfaces publicly. Lawyers are allegedly monitoring social media aggressively. PR advisors are reportedly preparing counter-narratives. And friends close to the Sussexes fear another major documentary interview could happen if Harry and Meghan feel cornered emotionally. Because if there is one thing history has proven about this family, it is that when silence stops protecting them, they go to war publicly. And somewhere inside all this chaos sits the question nobody can answer. Did Sarah Ferguson reveal the truth? Did she exaggerate fragments of old rumors into something explosive? Or did she deliberately unleash the one story capable of emotionally destroying Prince Harry from the inside out? Because right now, across palace corridors, Montecito mansions, royal group chats, aristocratic dinner tables, and millions of social media screens around the world, one phrase refuses to disappear.